Transmog is finally here, and while there are some major issues with it, the layout for how it all works is actually really nice. So, Buzz Lightyear, a beloved character from the Toy Story franchise, and a relatively easy build to make inside of Destiny 2. Now, I'm not the first Guardian to dress up as Buzz Lightyear, it's actually been done before back in Destiny 1, but this is my take on it for Destiny 2. I'll be discussing armor and shaders first, then weapons and gameplay a little bit later. Timestamps will be in the description below. For the helmet, I went with the Insurmountable Skull Fort with Amaranth Atrocity Shader. If you'll take note of Buzz Lightyear's head here, he's wearing a skin-tight purple pressure suit beneath his space armor. This covers his whole body except for his face, so Insurmountable Skull Fort works great with its nice curves and blinking lights where the face would be. It also ties into the gameplay I'll be discussing later on. Amaranth Atrocity keeps everything on the helmet a lighter purple. I tried literally every shader that had purple in it, and this is the only one that stayed entirely purple. The gauntlets are Hardy's Control with the monochromatic shader, and if you weren't lucky enough to get them when they were released, they can be purchased from Eververse. Originally, I wanted to use the Righteous Gauntlets until I noticed that the entire left gauntlet is missing. Like, holy cannoli, Bungie, with Guardians being right-handed, you'd think that the singular gauntlet would be on the left, the side that's facing the enemy more often, but no, it's on the right gauntlet that you never see in gameplay because the gun is in the way. Another option that also looks good is the Dreambane gauntlets that can be acquired from the moon. They take the monochromatic shader nicely and have a really nice rounded shoulder pad. The only reason I didn't use them is that I didn't like the rings hanging off the sides and the gauntlets being made of cloth. It just didn't quite sit right with me. Also, the monochromatic shader is available in the Year 1 bundle from Eververse, and it only costs 1,000 Glimmer for the whole package. Definitely worth it if you're missing some Year 1 shaders. Now the chest piece, I am utterly flabbergasted that the combination worked. I used the Phenotype Plasticity plate with Metropolitan Acoustics. Phenotype Plasticity has these lovely wings on the back, and Metropolitan Acoustics gives almost the exact same shade of green we need, along with the white bits in the abdominal area. For half the shader being blue, the only blue bits that actually show up are around the helmet. Now if you're not into the wings out Buzz Lightyear look, there is the Tangled Web plate. It comes from doing activities on the Tangled Shore, although I think it may have been taken out of the loot pool. But it has this whole jetpack sort of structure on the back, while keeping the color layout relatively unchanged in the front. The legs are the Retrograde TG2 with monochromatic put on. What's really cool about these boots is that they're actually the model that a lot of other Titan legs are based upon. Anti-Extinction Greaves, Wildwood Greaves, and even the Omega Mechanos Greaves all utilize the Retrograde TG2's model. If you don't feel like paying the Synthweave plate to unlock them, there's a lot of options available to be picked up from world drops. I just like how clean the Retrograde TG2 looks without any faction decals or extra parts tied onto them. And finally, I used the Lustrous Chromite mark with Metropolitan Acoustics. The mark is available during the Festival of the Lost, and from the front isn't very noticeable. I tried to make the blue belt that Buzz Lightyear has in Toy Story 2, but couldn't get it to look good with the cloth in the back and the rest of the set. In the Toy Story films, Buzz Lightyear possesses a wrist-mounted laser and his karate chop action. Now there's two guns in Destiny 2 that fire continuous laser beams, Prometheus Lens and Devil's Ruin. I went with Devil's Ruin because it uses primary ammo and will absolutely melt Guardians that are in their supers. Little pro tip, the charge laser on Devil's Ruin will go right through the Middle Tree Arc Strider's blocking ability. Then, as shown in the intro, I'm using Code of the Missile because as Buzz Lightyear says at the end of the first film, this isn't flying, it's falling with style. You can use the Code of the Missile to fall in style right at your enemies. Now this is where the Insurmountable Skull Fort comes into play, because kills with arc melee abilities trigger health regeneration and restore melee energy. If you're not familiar with Code of the Missile's melee attack, you jump up into the air, then rocket down towards people. Something I found funny is that when I hit people at just the right angle, it'll launch them up and away from me. Then in the confusion of them suddenly being thrown, I follow it up with Devil's Ruin and melt them. I had a lot of fun playing with this build in the Crucible. I rather enjoy the intro screen where it briefly shows all the Guardians on the team. There's the noobs in the blue armor, the tryhards looking cool, and then there's me, Buzz Lightyear, member of the Elite Universe Protection Unit of the Space Ranger Corps, protecting the galaxy from the threat of invasion from the evil Emperor Callus, sworn enemy of the Galactic Alliance.